Next question, and as always, we'll begin with the question sentence. That way we can really sort through the information by just knowing what the goal is first. So here, goal is if we have 84 cars, how many trucks? Sounds good. So I'm going to emphasize this. Again, there are 84 cars, but the question is how many trucks? Given that they are in the same sentence, we know that these items are being compared at least in some way. So again, I'll write this down. We have 84 cars, and we would like to know how many trucks. So there we are. 84 cars, blank trucks. Now, look at what we have compared. Cars and trucks. Now look at what we have in the first sentence. In a parking lot, the ratio of cars to trucks to motorcycles is 12 to 5 to 4. My party people, you let me know if you see this. You can say it out loud or type it in the chat box if you're here live. But do you see what I see? Where we are comparing cars to trucks, but also to motorcycles. Do we see that triple comparison, that triple ratio in this case? Awesome. Now, if we see that ratio there, that triple ratio, look at what we have in that question sentence. Cars and trucks. Which of these numbers do we not need currently? Which of these numbers do we not really need to solve this problem? If you said 4, the number attached to motorcycles, you are absolutely correct. We do not need that final item, that final number. Why is that again? Because again, we want the comparison between cars and trucks, which is 12 and 5. And remember that ratios are written in order. So since cars is the first item, 12 is the first number. So we can compare that right here. 12 cars. Then the 12 car comparison is compared to trucks, which is the second value, and that is 5. So there we are. We now have a proportion. We are comparing cars to trucks, cars to trucks. We have the same comparison in the same way. Now we're good to go. I'll just put a capital T for trucks. So I'll compare right over here, cars to trucks, and look at the setup. 84 over T equals 12 over 5. You could absolutely very well change it up if you wanted to just compare trucks to cars, and write it the other way around. You're fine. As long as you are comparing the same things in the same way, you're good. You can still get the same correct answer. So here we are. Let's cross multiply and divide. And I see with cross multiplication, T times 12 is 12T. Then we have 84 times 5. Mental math tells me that that'll be 420 there, I believe. But let's go ahead and confirm that. So we have 84 multiplied by 5. 4 times 5 is 20, carry the 2. Then we have 8 multiplied by 5, and that's going to be 40. Add the 2, and that'll be 42. So 84 times 5 is 420. There we are. And then the last piece here is going to be dividing both sides by 12. Now, as I calculate this, I want you to think about how annoying this was for you personally, because I'm going to show you a nice shortcut if we notice the convenience. So here we are. We'll divide by 12, so cross that out, cancels out, and then we have 12 going into 420. So here we go. First, 12 going into 42. How many times does that happen? Well, that'll end up being 3. 3 times 12 is 36, and we'll subtract that out, leaving us with 6. Then we'll drop the 0, and then we ask ourselves, well, how many times does 12 go into 60? 12 going into 60, that'll end up being 5. There we are, subtract 60, and that gives us no remainder. So T here would equal 35. Again, a straightforward way that will get the job done. It's just a matter of how much time you have to spend, how much time you have to give. Now, let me show you a much shorter way. And that shorter way has to do with comparing the same things in the same way. Check this out right over here. If I found a way to get to my answer, either from top to bottom, which I can't see that happening because 12 going to 5, that doesn't look that easy. So I won't even do it that way. But I could also try the other way. I could also try horizontally, left to right, right to left. And watch here. Is there a way to go from 12 to 84? My party people, what do I multiply 12 by to get 84? Who knows? Ooh, that's right, times 7. So if we knew that to be the case, if we knew that right to left was times 7, well, guess where that also applies? Down here. My party people, tell me, what is 5 times 7? That's 35. And there is that correct answer that we just discussed. Answer choice here is choice B. And again, the main idea here is comparing the same things in the same way. All right, let's tackle this question here. First things first, per usual, we're going to read that question first. The question sentence. How many points does the student have now? Okay, so when we think about how many points a student has now, it sounds like they had something in the beginning, then something happened, and we want to know where we're at now. So it says here that a course has 400 possible points and that a student earned 82% of the points and received 12 extra credit points. Okay, so everybody, look, before you get into the math itself, think about the reasoning. If we are trying to figure out how many points the student has now, it sounds like they earned a couple of points here, and then they got extra credit right here. And when I read that from the story, everybody, I'm thinking, hey, we're going to go ahead and talk about whatever the 82% represents. Then we also need to tack on the extra credit, 12 extra credit points. And once we have those two together, then we're good. We're going to add those together and we are done. So let me just mark that out. Like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to figure out what 82% represents. We're going to add it with 12, and we'll get that final answer right there. So with that, let's go ahead and get it done. We see that it's 82% of 400, and to do that, again, that's 82% of 400, which we can actually take advantage of with some mental math because we can move the decimal twice to the left over here, or we can move it twice over there. So we end up having 82 multiplied by 4. And if we do that, some mental math tells us that 80 times 4 is 320. 2 times 4 is 8. So this would be 328. Again, all with mental math when the numbers are convenient. And so now we know that that 82% represents 328 points. Now that we have that, we'll add 328 plus 12. And that ends up giving us 340 total points. And there we are, my party people. This one was a rather straightforward one, whether it was because of the numbers or the story itself. But there we are. Our correct answer here will be 340 points once we take into account the 12 extra credit points.